Annyeong, it's Mikey here, guys. Finally, I've gotten the switches. I know you've been asking for it. I had quite a bit of comments asking for the UR ice magnetic switches. So the ultra switches, I finally got them. So we're gonna have to do a sound test, compare them with the other switches that I have in my Wooting, and of course see what I like personally because my preferences is gonna be different than yours, and everybody's a little bit different. So let's get straight into taking a look at the Switch, a little bit more information, and of course into the sound test. So please make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, so we've done the sound test, and I want to kind of give you guys my personal opinion on the sound profile. The UR ice switches are actually pretty decent. I would give them, if you guys remember my Jade Ruby video that I did before, the Jade Rubies were quite muted in my boards. And I personally didn't really enjoy the Jade Rubies. I felt that they were a little bit too muted on my board. The UR switches and the Jade have a similar sound profile, but the URs actually is a little bit more clearer. Like the sound is a little bit more crisp. I would say this sound profile is like right in between the Akko Astrolink and the Jade Ruby switches. And in terms of like stem wobble, we're gonna have to of course take a look into more depth of that, like the stem wobble and the backlighting test. But honestly, this switch has actually quite impressed me. I really enjoyed using the Astrolinks lately, and the Astrolinks have been really great for me personally. I also love using the Owlabs Ti switches, the Geon Raw sometimes, but I've been leaning more towards like if I want a really crisp sound, the Owlabs Ti switches, and if I'm wanting something that's a little bit more in terms of like similar to like a satisfying sound like mechanical switches, I've been using the Astrolink. I heard Akko is actually coming out with another magnetic switch, so we'll have to take a look at that, of course. But I would say these ones are actually pretty decent too. We're gonna have to go straight into like looking at the stem mobile and backlighting test. So let's go right into that and see, how this compares with the other switches.
So what we're going to do first is open up the switch and take a look to see inside and give you guys a little bit more of a look. Now, as you can see, the UR magnetic switch is fully transparent. Now the bottom is a closed off switch. So it may look like it's not closed, but it actually is fully closed. It's just the fact is because it's so transparent, you might think that it actually has this like hole on the bottom, but no, it is a fully closed off. And as you can see, as I tapped on it, it does fully close. Now, the switch itself has a light diffuser on it, and of course we're going to open up and take a look at all parts. But first I want to show you guys the actual stock lubing. Now I know it's gonna be a little bit hard to see, unfortunately, due to how the lighting is and everything. It might be a little bit difficult, but hopefully by having my hand behind it, you guys can see it. It does have stock lube. It is right on the sides of the stem, and you can see there it is slightly lubed. It's actually decently lubed on the sides. I was quite surprised to see it when I actually fully opened it up to look at it. And compared to say some other switches out there that have like factory lubing, this one definitely is done much better than most switches, I would say. Though hand lubing it, I think really does help a little bit more, just because it's only just those parts in the stem where it's actually popping out from the sides, but it still does have decent stock lube. And as you can see here again, I'm trying to poke to the bottom, but see, it is fully closed off. So for those that do like having a closed off bottom, this is a closed off bottom housing. Now the spring itself, let's take a look at the actual measurement. I know that it says 15 millimeters, and of course we want to see just to make sure that it is around that 15 millimeter mark. And of course my measuring tool is not going to be perfect, but we're looking at 15 millimeters for the spring distance, the length in total. Now the switch itself is built quite well. I would think that some transparent switches, specifically mechanical ones, I've had like for example the Gateron North Pole, I honestly felt that those ones felt a little bit cheap in terms of the build. This one is actually a decent build. It doesn't feel that cheap in your hands, and the light diffuser as well is a nice touch to have. Even though it's a transparent switch, it is something that really does help with the whole lighting, which of course we're going to have to go into soon. Now, of course, we're going to check out the stem mobile. This switch is actually quite impressive in terms of the stem mobile. What I mean by that is you almost get no stem mobile at all. It is quite stiff inside of there. That movement there at the top end is actually just my plate and how loose it is in the plate. But as you can see, even on the bottom end, you're almost getting no stem wobble at all. Like, it's really well done for this switch. I would say out of all the switches I've tried that are not box stem, this is probably the least amount of stem wobble in any of them from magnetic switches. Now, of course, we want to check out the backlighting of this. So we're going to use a total of 6 different switches for the backlighting test. These are my favorite switches so far. It's going to be the UR Magnetic, the Owlabs Ti, the Wuque Studio Flux, the Akko Astrolink, the Geon Raw HE, and the TTC Palm. Now, as you can see here, with all 6 switches, the backlighting is quite bright on all of them. They do a really great job. Now, the UR switch, though, because it's transparent, the lighting is actually going through the whole top housing. The light diffuser, of course, catches most of the light, but the lighting actually goes all the way around. So instead of like the other switches where you can see the lighting is very, very top end heavy, the UR switch actually has more of a rounded lighting where the lighting goes all the way around the switch. Of course, more heavily on the top end where the light diffuser is, but more around. Now, in terms of the color accuracy, though, as you can see, some of the switches do have a little bit of a color hue, like the Owlabs Ti Switch has a slight hue to it. The UR switch is really good in terms of the lighting, I'd say. Very, very well done. And you won't get any kind of like color discrepancies with the UR switch. I would say, surprisingly, when you look at it, right, the Geon Raw HE gives a little bit more of a lighter color to it. This is all the same coloring. Sorry, the caps lock, I had it turned on for a moment there. But from the right end of the switches, right, you're looking at the Akko Astrolink, Geon Raw HE, and the TTC Palm. It gives a more of a yellow color. The UR switch gives a very neutral color, while the Owlabs Ti Switch and the Flux actually is a little bit more orange color. So those are things to keep in mind. And as you can see there, when I give you guys a little bit more of an upper look to it, where the light diffuser would be, the light coming out, you can see that it is coming out through the top and going around the switches. And as you can see, the UR specifically, the lighting goes all the way around the A, while the others are focused on the topper end of the keycaps. Now, of course, if you turn on all the lighting, you're going to, of course, have a full board. This is just a very like specific example where I'm showing you guys like where the lighting will come around the switch itself. Now, looking at all the switches, right, these are my top favorite switches for now. Of course, we're going to have to try more switches and of course see which ones we would, consider as in the top like 6, top 5. I would say that the UR magnetic really stands out a lot. The Flux switches is a really higher pitch switch from my opinion, and if you really do like your heavy clack, the Flux is something that you can definitely take a look at. It is well done, but it is expensive. Out of all these switches, the Flux switches is the most expensive magnetic switch. Currently, my favorites are like the Owlabs Ti Switch, the Akko Astrolink, and the Geon Raw HE, and I would put the UR Magnetic Ultra also in there as well. So it's now going to be 4 switches that I really, really enjoy. The UR Magnetic specifically is for those that will like a little bit more of a Ruby Jade sound, but less muted than the Ruby Jade. It is well done. I really did like the sound profile. It's a little bit deeper than some of the other ones out there. I personally think the Astrolink is more well done in terms of kind of sounding like a mechanical switch, but the UR Magnetic is actually quite similar to the Astrolink as well. The UR Magnetic is really well done, and I would say you should go take a look at it if you are interested and you like your backlighting heavily.
I really hope that this video helped you guys in figuring out which switches works best for you and which one you want to grab. Let me know down in the comments if there's any switches that you think I should really try out. I'll see if I can get them, or I'll reach out to the companies to see if I can get a sample and be able to test it out myself. So I'll have to catch you guys next time. Hopefully I can come to you guys with more Wooting switches, and I believe that you can see there's a little surprise here. So I'll catch you guys next time, and please make sure to like and subscribe.